Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video by UmbrasDarkness. In today's video, we're going to go through our player vs. player part 3 guide. First off, I want to start off with an apology. Sorry, no face cam today. This is like my third or fourth time recording. I'd already put away the green screen. Sorry guys, just don't got the time to do it because I want to try and get this video out tonight. With that, you guys, there are a couple of YouTube comments from my last video that I want to talk to you guys about and will be the part of the topic for today's video. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So the first part of this YouTube video that I want to talk to you about is a comment that I also put inside of my Discord. I talked about Bullet Ant in my part 2 video being in the third or back row slot. This was brought up by the Nerd Herd as something that they disagree with because two of their abilities have a range of 3 but hit 2 units, essentially making it a pure melee unit because it will hit the front row, which is the point of a melee unit. The only skill that would not guarantee hit the front row is the suppression. The reason that I stated you can put it in the back row is because it does focus that suppression in the first unit, but it does drop a significant amount of its damage, and the back row should be utilized for damage. There are battle reports on both sides of this fence on whether or not Bullet should be in the back row, and that's why I brought it up as an option, but this is a very valid point that I should have voiced way better and articulated clearly in the first video, so I apologize for that. Bullet does fit the secondary or middle row slot as a suppression ant, as a melee unit, and would be a very good unit for that secondary slot and a preferable position. It is allowed and flexible to put him in the third slot if need be because you don't have enough ranged ants. The second comment that I want to talk to you about is Dark Senpai. He brought this up in the comments, as you can see. Then we talked about it in Discord as well in the new video ideas. Thank you very much for bringing this up. This is a great topic for my third video and is something that I wanted to talk about anyway, so this is a great way to start it off. His thought process for a secondary unit is support, crowd control, DPS. I think that that's a fair solution. I personally will explain why I do not do it that way, but I think support, crowd control, and DPS is a great way to set it up, and it is the ultimate goal for me for my third unit. As I think I brought up when I said it, once I get a Shikari Master, that'll replace it in my first unit, and Golden Venom will go down to my third unit. So this is a definite, solid strategy, and I want to talk about this today as a way to show other ways of setting up formations. So without any further ado, my units are already out gathering, but as you can see, first unit, Giant Tooth, Slim Arched, and then Golden Venom would be Shikari Master, but this is de facto the best formation in game right now. We talked about that last day. Then Dark Giant, DPS melee, DPS ranged. That's my preference for a secondary unit. And then I am trying my best to make my third unit a support unit, then a crowd control unit, and then a DPS third unit. Driver Ant is one of the worst ants in the game, but it has one piece of crowd control on effective range of 3. It's not a perfect melee unit. I would call it a melee unit because it does have one range of 2 item. That being said, obviously putting something like Bullet, putting something like Golden Venom here, and then Golden Sugar here, or like Bullet here, and then Golden Venom here would be significantly better. The reason that I prefer going de facto best formation than a DPS heavy unit and then a support suppression DPS unit is because when I'm invading another level 25 hill, I try to time my attacks as fast as possible to hit all within the same 3 seconds, 4 seconds of each other. And you can see that by my level 9, level 8. Using carriers, they go really, really fast. The first unit should go as deep as possible. It's the best unit out there. It might get into like the second unit, as I'm going against other level 25s that are high and well statted. As stated in previous videos, I'm not the strongest person on my server. Then my second unit is going in with high DPS, so that way it can clean out the units that this unit's already penetrated and maybe do some damage to that third unit. And then my third unit is coming in with the same type of strategy as my primary unit, where it has a giant support, some suppression, and then some DPS to hopefully clean up their weaker third and final units. That's the reason that I have my units built that way. That's the reason I prefer it in this order, but I can respect and understand why other players would prefer this to be their secondary unit. But that's my tertiary unit. That being said, we did reach 2,900 subscribers, you guys. Thank you for the love and support. For our 2,900 subscriber giveaway, the code word's going to be tertiary unit. We will not be drawing the 2,800 subscriber video code word today, as we just went out yesterday. We're going to give it a couple of more days to pick up, but I wanted to talk to you guys about that. The second part of the video that I wanted to talk about is evolutions. Not evolutions in general, not perfect order for evolutions. Evolutions that affect player versus player. Basic combat doesn't really affect player versus player, minus the fact that it gives mutation early game. So it is something early game that will help out with mutation, getting those boosted troops. Boosted troops do play a significant part, as they have increased base attack, which means that your special ants are doing more damage. Especially with the recent patches where ant types are doing more damage based off of the type that they are. Again, if anything changes from my player versus player videos, I'll put out another video post-patch to try and correct it all. The next evolution that will be super important is that new 1-star evolution that's going to be here. The secondary combat, as you can see, it's going to be a 1-star evolution. I touched on this yesterday. I think everyone's going to have it done first Evo day. It's a 1-star evolution. I think you're a fool if you don't max it out the first Evo day. The developers stated that their intention is to make it impossible, or dang near impossible, for a T8 to beat a T9 or a T9 to beat a T10. Then they're going to boost stats for having the same units inside of every stat. AKA, they're going to make it so that way you're not able to, or your carrier, your guardian, your shooter are going to get more base stats. I don't know how significant that will be and how much that'll mess up guardian, shooter, assuming they're all T9s. Just because if it's only like 20%, that's only a total of 50% stats that you're missing in order to run a more complex formation. So we'll see what happens there. And then the third part of this evolution is going to boost Duel of the Queen's health explicitly, which I find very interesting, but is an important note and does affect player versus player, although that player versus player is different because combat speed doesn't come into effect there. But as we can see here, Duel of the Queens. Alright, so the next evolutions that we should touch base on that affect player versus player is going to be basic military. Most of this doesn't really affect it at all. It just, does some stuff. This is the first one that matters. It increases all soldiers' health. 15% health is huge, you guys, especially early on. As genetics come, it's not as significant, but this needs to get done anyways, so there's no reason not to get it done, and 15% health early on is very important. The other skill that matters is fatal attack, right? You want when you're killing your enemy's opponents for them to be unrevivable. Sweet. The next evolution that you guys will be working on that affect player versus player is obviously the specific branches. Player versus player, belly storage, pack light, Heavy Crush, Teeth Blade, Tough Body. Same with Guardian Ants, they have the same types of things. Hard Shell, Reinforced Joints. This one affects when defending the Anthill, Big Bites, Solid Shell, and Shooters have the same thing. Even your individual units will get base stats for player versus player, from Elastic Belly, Hard Skull, Spiky Back. Those all boost defense, which is in my opinion, the least important stat of the three. Attack and HP depending on the unit, and then defense being the third most important always. And then also mandatory to unlock Tertiary Leadership is going to be ones that boost its attack. The final evolutions that affect player versus player are going to be your T9s, your Advanced Combat, your T10s, and your Zone Fight. This is a common question that I get asked is, what would you do first? T9s, Advanced Combat, Zone Fight. After you get T9s, are you going straight for T10s? You maxing out Zone Fight? What are you doing? So to cover that in a player versus player related aspect, it used to be T8s with Advanced Combat Max could beat T9s. However, with the new evolution coming out, assuming it does what the developers want, the best order will be to get T9s, so that way you have the highest edge with that secondary combat, then maxing out Advanced Combat, and then working on T10s, because T10s will be a roadblock that stop T9 players from being able to beat you, assuming secondary combat does what the developers want it to do. Zone Fight is somewhat important, not so much. Zone Attack affects attack during the Strongest Warzone event. Strongest Warzone event is going on every day except for the first 30 minutes after changeover and the first 4 hours after changeover on Monday every other week. So this ability is on all the time. However, the right side of this only matters in the enemy war zone, so only once every 2 weeks, right? So this evolution becomes less appealing because invasion defense, invasion attack, invasion health only matter on the enemy's war zone, right? Which again is once every 2 weeks, and has honestly become more of a gathering day than a squirter day. And if it is a squirter day and you don't have these evolutions done, you can just do the left-hand side, slowly work on this, and just stay in your squirters, right? However, overall, this evolution is worth doing because it has Fatal Attack right here. Assemble Colony, in my opinion, actually isn't that great. We don't really have a reason to rally. I don't feel like there's a great improvement in rallying. It's hard to get rallies together when you're going for Squirter in War of the King, because it takes so long to go to that hill and then you have to go there. So if another person that's not in the rally takes over that Squirter, you just wasted 5 minutes to rally everyone together at this one base and then the 10 minutes to march to that unit. So I don't like this because it's another slot in here to fill on Groundhog. So you're less likely to get those Groundhog rallies firing fast, 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 or Lizard 30s, or the special animals, right? But this Fatal Attack is actually pretty good. And Play Dead increases the number of dead soldiers that you would have received being converted into injured, so you're saving some of your dead soldiers. This, again, is not nearly as appealing anymore because your units just get converted to injured soldiers anyways when doing squirter battles. However, on a PvP server, that matters more. So, again, for player versus player evolutions, in my opinion, the best way to do it is basic combat, for the sole reason that you get mutations, secondary combat, then working on your units along with your base stats here, right? And then getting your T9s, maxing your advanced combat, getting your T10s, working on zone fight when you're done with your creature remains anywhere else. What do I mean by that? I mean that these things start to get super expensive. We have T10 charts in my Discord, but as you can see here, it's 12,270 creature remains. Okay, I can take the 8,000 creature remains that I have left over, go into zone fight, and upgrade this one that takes 320 creature remains. This zone fight takes 110,000 creature remains in total to max out, aka 2 weeks of creature remains in total to max out. Maybe 3 weeks if you're free to play or you're not getting 9th shell all the time because your build day is maxed. Once you get to Queen 25, it is 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to max out. I just don't think it's worth taking the break working towards T10s in order to max this out flatly. I think it's worth working on the side project, maybe. It does take away from creature remains that would add up over time towards that T10 evolution, but it allows you to work on this slowly to get those benefits slowly over time because they're not the most important benefits anymore in the game. Alright, you guys, that covers it for today. If you guys have any questions, as always, please go to my Discord. I know I talk a lot about carriers. I don't talk a lot about shooters. I don't talk about things like Banshee Panda, Golden Tooth, Reap Master being an excellent PvP formation for an all-shooter situation, which I expect to see more of once this update hits. I don't talk about where I put Banshee Velvet into, how I feel about Banshee Panda, Mimicry Master, things like that, because I'm not that unit's leader. I don't use shooters. I don't use guardians. I will have tier lists probably next video because I don't have any more topics for player versus player content, so we'll do the tier list next unless I get asked some questions in the next couple of days. But those tier lists are coming from the Nerd Herd helping me with their knowledge and their capabilities because I'm not nearly as experienced in player versus player as them. I came from a Farmville server for the first 4 or 5 months of my time. That being said, my Discord will help you out. They will answer, other people will answer, a lot of trusted, a lot of good information. You can go in there and get overwhelmed with information. Very rarely is there super off-topic conversations there. And my Discord is divided into other areas. So if you're wondering what to do, that would be my recommendation. But hopefully the last couple of videos have shown you best formation, Giant Tooth, Slim Arched, DPS. 2 ways to look at formations, secondary formation, support, DPS melee, DPS range, tertiary leadership, tertiary unit, also the code word for 2,900 subscribers, support, melee, disruption, and then DPS range. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos. If you did like these videos, please drop a like, drop a subscription. It helps so much. It's free. It does nothing. It costs you guys nothing except for a moment of your time, and it adds up a ton on my end. Thank you guys. As always, I'm active in the YouTube comments, as you can see from the beginning of this video. I'm very active in Discord, #1 talker there. Or, worst case scenario, server 193 is recruiting. Move to server 193, you can talk to me every day. Such as Whistler Alpha, who was like, hey, you have a lot of followers in 464, please give them a shout out. So shout out to you guys from 464. Until next time, you guys, stay humble, stay happy, stay hungry. Bye, y'all.